Boom shakalaka. What's going on, everybody? Randall here with Crypto Love, and I am joined today by Victor Yee of Data.
Initial,
What is going on, Victor? How you doing?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
Good. Good to see you. I see you wore the shirt today.
Yeah, there. I try my best to fit myself and the logo into. Okay, let's see that. I move back and I'll have myself and the logo there. Okay.
That's perfect. Awesome. So today we are going to talk about data, but before we do that, why don't you fill everyone in, let us know about yourself.
Okay. So I had engineering background. I studied computer science and math in Tsinghua University, which is a top one university in China. Then I did my grad school in Columbia University in New York, the Ivy League school. Then after that, I spent a few years as a engineer in Silicon Valley. I work on distributed systems from my whole undergrad to grad school to my career in the Valley. So after in 2017, I moved back to China and started this blockchain project with my friend and now my partner and co-founder Franklin Song. We co-founded this project Data. Yeah.
Great. Wow. So I mean, you've been to some pretty good universities, so you got that backing there. That's great. So how'd you get into blockchain?
So the the first time I interact with blockchain was like a lot of people in late 2013, which was a time of surge of price of Bitcoin. So I I didn't really know what Bitcoin is. So just like other speculators, I invested something. I bought about 400 coins actually at a price of about um, $400 each at the time. Then the price soared to $1,200. Then it fall back to $600. So I sold almost all of them at that time moment. I said, okay, I made a good profit. But so looking back, if I kept those coins, I'll be much richer now. So anyway, um, after that, I didn't really. I thought, okay, it was a bubble, and I didn't look into the technology. I just thought, okay, it's a bubble, and now it burst, so I forget about it. But it was until about 2016, one of my friend, also my college friend, he is one of the early Bitcoin miners. So I know has been doing that. So I want to know more about the technology. So I talked with him and we studied together, look into the industry. Gradually, I know, okay, it's not, um, I mean, sometimes the price may go up or go down, but it's not something, um, it's not something from, it's not something then or not something now. It's something real and something meaningful. Gradually, I get more and more into the technology and the industry. So this story was from 2016. And actually, the friend I talk about is one of our major advisors and scientists of our project. His name is Jia Tian, and he's also in our website and our white paper. That's my story with blockchain. And
Awesome. Yeah.
after that, actually, I get more and more involved. And in last year, 2017, and my old friend Franklin Song, he reached out to me, and and actually he studied in blockchain in Yale University before, so he had also very good background in this area, and we put more effort into it and started this project.
Great. Yeah, I mean, blockchain, the more research you do about it, the more it seems like it's just going to change the world and be the future.
The more you understand it, the more you trust it. That's
Yeah,
my feeling. Yeah.
great. So tell us about data.
Okay. So data actually is a blockchain infrastructure and the protocol built for the data ecosystem. Originally, we use the name data as a short for decentralized AI-powered trust alliance. Actually, there are three factors accounted into this phrase. decentralized is for meaning the blockchain technology, and actually more than blockchain technology, because we have more technology, more decentralized technology other than blockchain, and AI powered. That means another part of our technology, which is AI modeling, and the Trust Alliance is one of our major application scenario, which is to the anti-fraud or data fraud scenario. So actually the word, the whole phrase is contains multiple concepts there. There's blockchain, there's decentralization, there's AI modeling, and there's data authentication. So all around, we see our project as a backbone or infrastructure for the decentralized data ecosystem.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about ad fraud, because this is something I wasn't too familiar with.
Okay, so actually, because actually my partner, he worked in the digital ad industry for quite a few years. So, and I work on the ads department when I work in Silicon Valley companies like LinkedIn and Twitter. So we are very familiar with that. So basically, in short, ad fraud is a huge problem in the internet industry. Almost 40% of online traffic are fake traffic. Those traffic are created by the ClickFunnels, bot users, those kind of fake actions. But the advertisers, they are paying for those fake actions. And in this way, the legitimate publishers, they got hurt for someone else's malicious behaviors. The advertisers got hurt because they pay for the bad traffic, and the whole industry got hurt by into this malicious loop. That's the overview of the data fraud in the ads ecosystem. And there are other major data fraud scenarios. Another one is online finance, because in a lot of online lending cases, almost near 10% or even more lending online financing applications are fraud applications. The borrowers, they intend not to pay it back. So that almost 10% fraud leads to almost 90% of the revenue for the online financial providers, and that's almost a bottleneck for the online financing industry. As long as they can reduce the fraud rate by 1%, they can make more than maybe 50% revenue. Profit in this case. So I named two major cases of data fraud. One is online advertisement. The other is the online financing. Those cases, those scenarios are real major cases where data fraud is happening.
Yeah. So how does Data plan to fix this problem?
We plan to fix this problem by introducing something called the reputation score to each device. Basically, this reputation score is like a credit score in the offline world. The credit score, you get it by, the credit score bureaus and companies, like those TransUnion, they collect data from your banking activities and rate one client. We collect data from your online activities, including especially your activities involving watching and interacting with ads. After clicking the data, we run the AI modeling to model the user behavior to see if it's a legitimate user or a fake user. And then we assign each some reputation score to each device. Now this score can be used by the ad providers and the finance non-providers to see to draw a profile of the user to decide if it is a real user or fake user.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And does that information stay on the blockchain?
That's a good question. Yes, the raw data is stored off-chain to the blockchain. The post-processed data, the reputation score, stays on the blockchain. In this way, blockchain has some features like non-changeable, something not centrally controlled. Those features enables that score system to be legitimate, to be trusted by everyone.
Okay. Yeah. So you have 4 layers built into your system. Yeah. Can we go through each of those layers? Because I think it's important for people to know the difference between them. So I guess we could start with mobile storage and work our way through.
Yeah. Actually, I'd rather say start from the SDK layer.
Perfect. You're the expert, so we'll go with that.
Okay. So we have a goal to, as we talked previously, we have the goal to build a reputation score for each device based on their online activities. So there are a few things we need to do. First is we want to collect the online activities. Second is we want to store some data about these activities. Third is we want to run the modeling. The fourth is we want to store it on the blockchain. So the first step, we want to collect data from, and then that's a SDK layer. We run a company which is called UMOB before we started this project. UMOB is a SDK provider to the app developers. So UMOB will be the first collaborator of data project by injecting Data's SDK into UMOB's SDK. So, and Data's SDK will be used by other developers too. This SDK will handle a few things. One is measuring user activity. Second is collecting some necessary data to model user behavior. The third is to assign reward to users based on their contribution. So that's the SDK layer. After the SDK layer collects the data, it needs to be stored somewhere. It cannot be stored on the blockchain because blockchain is not designed for store arbitrary data. It's designed to store transaction data, but not for other data types. So we want a decentralized storage system, something like IPFS, but now in our case, we design it just for the mobile use cases. So it's like a mobile-centric, light-weighted IPFS to store the user activity data. So that's a P2P mobile storage layer, which we call it MCube. It's short for Mobile Metadata Management System. So that's the storage layer. After the storage layer, we run the offline AI layer. So the AI application layer runs offline reputation modeling to rate each device based on the activity, assign an activity score to each device. After that, it stores the data, that part of reputation data onto the blockchain. So that's a blockchain layer we are managing. So that's a 4 layers. So basically, it's a flow of data. The data flows from the user device onto the storage system, onto the offline modeling, AI modeling system, then onto the blockchain system. That's the for steps of the user's data flow.
Great. So I saw that you're going to be using state channels in your system. Is that for scalability and speed?
You see that actually that's part of the blockchain layer, because we build our system, build our blockchain, and there's token and coins of this chain. So we want it to have real usage scenarios, to be some real utility token. As long as we want it to be used, the performance needs to support that. We studied multiple existing technologies to scale blockchain. There's sharding technology, there's state channel technology, there's some technology that favors centralization, like those super nodes election by EOS, those kind of technologies. And we concluded that the state channels may be the shorter most, for now, we concluded that state channels may be the most favorable technology for us to choose. So that's the one we decided to incorporate into our blockchain design to make it really support micropayments.
Mm-hmm. And how does the token work on the ecosystem? What are the tokenomics?
Yeah. So you see, the first step, we want to collect data from user based on user behavior. We need to encourage the application developers to apply our SDK to their application. So we want to reward them. We reward them by issuing new tokens to the user and the developers, like in a mining-like way. So basically, we call it proof of attention mining mechanism. So 90% of new tokens, newly minted or mined tokens, will go to end users and the application developers, among which actually the end user gets 70% because they are true contributors. They are true owners of the data. So once they get incentivized, they will be willing to work or cooperate with the ecosystem to contribute by contribute to their data time, their attention, their data, and the app developers contribute by incorporating the SDK. In this way, that's how the new tokens are issued and how we want to bootstrap and incentivize the use. And after that, that's how tokens are from. And we are working with multiple developers to incentivize they to accept the tokens in their apps for micropayments, for buying, for making in-app purchase. So that's where the tokens are used. So that's the token economics you talk about.
Okay, and I saw you built your blockchain off of Ethermint. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Was there a reason for choosing that one?
Actually, first, we don't want to rebuild the wheels. We don't want to build a blockchain system from zero, from scratch. There are a lot of good existing ones. We want to choose a good one to start with. And we wanted to have multiple features like smart contracts so that developers can develop apps on the system. So we started from the Ethereum family of blockchain technologies. And we wanted to be be more scalable than Ethereum. Ethereum is not at scale, and it is evolving itself. So we look into this Ethermint system, which is a Ethereum implementation on the Tendermint consensus engine, and it has much higher performance and throughput because it's based on the PDFT consensus mechanism instead of the POW consensus mechanism. So, and we want something that supports secondary development easily. And we see this system is a good system to start with. It's code-wise is highly modularized, and has a very good documentation, very good development community. So we decide to build our blockchain on top of the existing system, and that's why we choose this one to start with.
Okay, yeah, sounds like you guys put a lot of thought into that instead of just picking one out of thin air.
We did a lot of study on existing projects over there. Yeah.
Very good. So in terms of dealing with advertising on the blockchain, there are a few different competitors that you have, and you guys go into depth with it in the white paper, but I'm guessing it might be like one person watching who hasn't read the white paper. So can you go into how you compare with other projects like Basic Attention Token or Ad Exchange or any of them?
Yeah. That's a really nice question. In one word, we see our project as an all-around solution and infrastructure for the whole data ecosystem. Not only the ads. Ads is a major part of the data ecosystem, but not the whole of it. I just named the financial industry too, which is another major part of the data ecosystem. So we see our once again, we see our system, our project, all around infrastructure to the data ecosystem. So to explain, if we compare with Basic Attention Token, it handles attention rewarding, but nothing more than that. It handles basic attention rewarding in its own platform, but not other applications and other websites outside its platform. So it's more like a utility token in a single within an app instead of infrastructure for all the apps. That's the Basic Attention Token. Comparing with ADX, which is a solution to blockchain-based ad exchange. So we see that as an application, not an infrastructure. So they can migrate to our system after ours is ready, because it's a smart contract-based from system. So migration is easy. So there are other blockchain-based advertising projects. There are another one which handles data fraud by trying to build an online whitelist of people making votes to determine the entities in the whitelist. But that's not a comprehensive solution because it's subject to the Sybil attack we frequently consider in the blockchain area. And the voting is subject to fraud itself, and that's hard to manage because voting itself is something off-chain, and the data off-chain cannot be verified easily. So to summarize, I see other competitors in this area, but they just handle some of the questions, but not all of them. They don't really build an infrastructure, but we do. That's how I compare ours with other competitors there.
Yeah, it definitely seems like you guys have the most complete solution for dealing with advertisements out there compared with all the other projects.
To be honest, we study a lot. We study everything out there to come up with what we should do, actually.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. So you mentioned the YoMob partnership. Can you talk a bit more about that?
So my partner, Franklin Song, he started this YoMob actually a few years ago. When he was working at another company, YoMob was a branch of a larger online gaming company. And after that, Umob spin off from the online gaming company to be a standalone service provider to application developers. And in this whole process, they gain a lot of experience in the online digital ads and the data ecosystem experience. Then we co-founded this data project, and the Umob naturally become a partner of this data blockchain data foundation. And as a first step of collaboration, Umob will inject our SDK, Data's SDK into its SDK. In this way, Data will get exposed to more than 2,000 developers and get exposed to more than 100 million end users, monthly end users there. That's how data project can get bootstrapped, because however good technology you develop, you need to have early adopters. Umob will be the first adopter of data, and we are working with other partners. One of them is Cochaga, which is a European and American online advertising company. Another is called Blue Focus, which is the largest online media company in China. So Data is collaborating with other major players in the digital ecosystem too, but Umob is the first one.
Yeah, and 100 million end users is pretty massive adoption.
Yeah. Actually, we have good goal to develop good tools and scenarios to actually get those most of the no coners exposed to the cryptocurrencies to transform them into coners. Actually, we have the resource and we have the right way to do that.
Awesome. So I guess where are you guys on your roadmap, and what do you have upcoming?
Actually, we are doing really good on our roadmap. We have 4 layers, so our development is working in these 4 directions too. For the SDK layer, actually, we have already done working on the private test of the data's prototype. There's a major game in Asia called Zap Zombie. You can see that, and you can see that in our press release that the users of this game, Zap Zombie, has already started to test with our SDK. They will get rewarding points after they view and interact with the ads actually. So and they will be able to consume those points and tokens in the app. So in this way, we have the whole around token circulation scenario. That's SDK layer part. Storage layer part, we have finished our first stage of development. So just last week actually. So the early version of the mobile storage system is out there. The blockchain layer part, we are making good progress too. We have built our internal testnet, and we are making progress on the development. We plan to open source our code and release the testnet in the 3rd quarter, and we are hitting that target. And the AI modeling part is making great progress too. Actually, we have formed a collaboration with this company I just named, Blue Focus. We formed a laboratory of online digital blockchain technology in the online digital publications industry. So we collaborate on building the AI modeling, anti-fraud data modeling in this laboratory, and it's in really good progress. So in short, actually, we are making good progress on the 4 layers of development, and actually we are not only hitting the target, but going ahead of the timelines.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're making a lot of progress, more than just a white paper. Like a lot of projects out there, you're actually doing stuff.
We are doing really real stuff and doing real development there. We have a team of more than 10 developers.
Mm-hmm. Great. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the team?
Okay. So we have two major co-founders, me and Franklin. We have a CTO with his name is Z Li, and he was a chief data scientist. I mean, chief, not the top one, but a major principal data scientist from Microsoft. Before Microsoft, he had a PhD in major US university, and he worked for MicroStrategy and Capital One as data scientist. So he had a very solid data scientist and engineering background. And we have a team of in our blockchain and in our blockchain, the storage system team, we have people from major top universities and top academic background, including Berkeley, including Stanford, including Tsinghua University in China. Those are all major great universities. And in our AI modeling part, I mentioned to you, we have a collaboration with this Blue Focus. So two of our two teams, we contribute researchers and developers in our collaborative laboratory to work on it. So that's how the team is composed of. It's a very diversified. It's somewhat decentralized. We have team members in Silicon Valley. We have team members in Europe. We have members in Singapore, and a lot of members in China too. So, and we all have a very good academic and professional background.
Yeah. Sounds like you've got some all-stars on the team, so that's good. Definitely helping you keep up with the developments.
Thanks. Yeah.
Cool. So I've made it through my questions. Anything else you'd like to talk about?
Okay. Let me see. What I really want to talk about is actually a lot of people ask us throughout the process. They ask us, why don't you build a larger public chain? Why don't you build a larger system like EOS or Zilliqa, or a lot of out there like IOST, if you pay attention to that. And there are tons of it, a lot of public chains, like Radar Network, Thunder, Cypherion, Quark Chain, like Atomic
Chain, all of them.
Basically, like for almost basic element, basic particle, there's a chain named after it. Mm-hmm. There's quantum chain. So there's after that there's a neuron chain. So the quark chain, those kind of things. So we want to say there are tons of public chain out there. But first, they are just a lot of them just too similar in technology. They just claim, a lot of them claim to be able to scale the blockchain technology. But in the end, the most adopted blockchain in the world now is the least scalable blockchain, which is Bitcoin, right? Mm-hmm. So they try to scale by sacrificing decentralization, which is not real innovation. It's not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The other part is because blockchain, the value of blockchain, the cryptocurrency is based on consensus. We don't really have many, the world cannot have consensus on a lot different public chains. They will end up have consensus in a few of them, but not all of them. Technology is not the only thing. To speak honestly, I think Bitcoin is a little bit obsolete in technology. It's not the modern one. It's not the fastest one. There are a lot of blockchains that's better technology than Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is still the dominating one because it has a consent. People agree, have consensus on its value. That's not something. So you can easily build a public chain by tuning some of parameters, by sacrificing some of the decentralization, you can have higher TPS, but you cannot claim you are going to be successful because there are just too many of it. So we want to build a blockchain system that has real application scenario that can really work out, can really affect a lot of people. So that's why we decide to focus on some vertical, on the data ecosystem vertical, and we want to provide a all-around solution. For example, to explain actually, currently a lot of DApps, they are limited by not able to access to many data. So the industry needs some decentralized data storage system. They need IPFS, but not only IPFS. They need some light-weighted, mobile, tailored storage system. That's our one. So we build it as part of our system, and that part can be used by some other people in the industry too. In this way, developers can develop much more advanced DApps with a storage system. They can have much more features than current DApps on Ethereum. So that's why we come up with the project design as now we have. We want to focus on some real and significant scenario. We want to build all-around technology solution, not only the chain itself, but also the storage part to enable its usage. We want to target a real problem in the world, which is data fraud. We want to handle it along with our infrastructure, which we did. So we want to be able to bootstrap the system. That's why we collaborate with Yomob and other companies in the industry. So it's almost like a highlight of our technology, but they are not just there because we designed the technology there, not just because they sound fancy. We designed there because we need those technologies, and we know that they are an entity. They are all-around system to make things work together. So that's what I want to talk with you. So we see our project a very really solid project comparing with a lot of high scalability blockchain. As you see, a lot of projects brand themselves like that.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Yeah, definitely. So you're actually a real life use case instead of just competing with the other high TPS blockchains. Perfect.
You see that?
Yeah. So if people want to find out more about data, where can they go to find out more?
Yeah. They can go to our website, which is data.eco. So eco is ECO. So I think that's a good name. We pay good money for that. We have our links to our major social media reaches. They are our Telegram. We have our Reddit pages. We have our Medium pages. Where you can comment on our articles, and we have Telegram groups for major languages in the world, not only English but also Chinese, Korean, Japanese, Spanish, Russian, and that's also expanding. So we have a Twitter account which has more than 70,000 followers, and they're very active. So we have a social reach on almost major global social media. Oh, by the way, we have Facebook pages too. And for some local, like Korea and China, we have social media tailored for their local social apps. Like for China, we have WeChat groups and WeChat pages. For Korean, we have Kakao groups and Kakao pages. So those are all the places our users can reach out to us.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Victor. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you. I feel good, really good to speak with you, actually.
Absolutely. All right. Have a good one. Peace.
You too. Have a really good one.